You want to know what a Pentagon security system sounds like when it's about to lock down. It doesn't alarm or flash warnings, it just goes silent. Real silent. I was sitting in my Silverado outside CyberGuard Defense Systems at 11:30 a.m. on a Thursday morning in March, watching through my laptop as Eagle Shield's intrusion detection protocols engaged, cutting off access to 12 years of my classified work right in front of a room full of Defense Department officials. The countdown hit 0. Every firewall I'd built slammed shut, and Shane Pierce's billion-dollar demonstration went dark in real time. Best part? He had no idea I was watching from the parking lot, or that I'd triggered the whole lockdown with a single encrypted command. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to 8:15 a.m. when Shane fired me for refusing to train his tech influencer niece on classified military defense systems. That's when this whole thing started. My name's Garrett Wells. I'm 47 years old, served 20 years in the Navy, and I've been protecting American cyber infrastructure for longer than most people have owned smartphones. Spent 8 years on submarines dealing with classified communication systems, then another 4 years cleaning up security breaches after foreign hackers tried to penetrate our naval networks. When you're 300 feet underwater and enemy signals intelligence is trying to crack your encrypted channels, you learn real fast that cybersecurity isn't just about fancy software. It's about understanding that one mistake can compromise everything your country stands for. After my wife Diana died in that car accident 3 years ago, this job at CyberGuard became everything. My son Ryan, stationed in Germany now with Army intelligence, got 2 grandsons who think their grandpa's some kind of digital superhero. Ryan calls them my cyber cadets. Jake's 10, already building his own computers, and Tommy's 8 can explain network protocols better than most college kids. This work was supposed to keep America safe and fund those boys' college educations. Simple as that. CyberGuard Defense Systems sits in a 12-story glass tower downtown, one of those modern buildings that looks impressive from the outside but feels like a corporate prison once you're inside. I'd been their senior cybersecurity architect for 12 years, ever since I transitioned out of the Navy. The company held contracts worth over $800 million with the Pentagon, NSA, and half a dozen other alphabet agencies you've heard of and a few you haven't. My job was building digital fortresses around America's most sensitive military communications. The Eagle Shield system I developed wasn't just software. It was a complete cyber defense ecosystem that monitored threats in real time, adapted to new attack vectors automatically, and maintained secure channels for everything from drone operations to nuclear submarine communications. I'd spent years perfecting algorithms that could detect intrusion attempts from Beijing, Moscow, Tehran, and every other hostile nation trying to crack our military networks. That Thursday morning, I walked into Shane's corner office thinking we were going to discuss the new encryption protocols for our latest Pentagon contract. The meeting was supposed to be about upgrading our quantum-resistant algorithms, maybe reviewing the latest intrusion attempts we'd blocked from foreign intelligence services. Instead, I found Shane pacing behind his standing desk, like a caged animal. His expensive suit already wrinkled from stress sweating at 8 a.m. in the morning. Shane Pierce was one of those executives who'd never served a day in uniform, but loved talking about supporting our troops when it came time to bid on defense contracts. He'd inherited the company from his father, a genuine World War II veteran who'd built CyberGuard on the principle that American cybersecurity should never be outsourced to foreign entities. Shane had different priorities. Quarterly profits and board meetings mattered more than the security clearance protocols his father had died protecting. "Garrett, have a seat," he said, gesturing to the leather chair across from his desk. No coffee offered this time, which should have been my first red flag. In 12 years of working for the man, Shane had never skipped the coffee ritual during our security briefings. "We need to discuss operational efficiency," he continued, using that corporate speak that always made my teeth clench. I'd heard similar phrases during my Navy days when some Pentagon contractor wanted to replace experienced officers with cheaper alternatives, all to boost their profit margins while undermining mission readiness. Efficiency? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. After 20 years of military discipline, you learn to read the room before committing to any response. "I've brought in a consultant," Shane said, his tone carrying that forced enthusiasm executives use when they're about to tell you something you won't like. "Someone who understands the digital marketplace, the modern economy, how we can streamline our approach to cybersecurity in the 21st century." That's when she walked in. Amanda Cruz, Shane's 24-year-old niece, dressed like she was heading to a tech conference instead of a classified military facility. I knew her from her social media presence, 800,000 followers watching her explain ethical hacking and pose with gaming setups she probably couldn't configure without calling tech support. Her idea of cybersecurity came from YouTube tutorials and TikTok videos, not from 8 years underwater monitoring hostile submarine communications. Uncle Shane says you're going to show me how everything works, she chirped, already pulling out her phone to record. The fact that she had an unauthorized recording device in a classified facility told me everything I needed to know about Shane's commitment to security protocols. This is so exciting, she continued, adjusting her phone's camera angle to capture both of us. I'm thinking we could do a whole series about cybersecurity careers. My followers would totally eat up authentic STEM content from real defense contractors. We could call it Hacking the Pentagon or something catchy like that. I looked at Shane, feeling that familiar knot forming in my stomach that I'd learned to associate with orders that violated every security principle I'd sworn to uphold. You want me to train her on classified defense systems? I asked, keeping my voice level despite the alarm bells going off in my head. Amanda has fresh perspectives, Garrett, Shane replied, settling back into his executive chair with the confidence of someone who'd never had to explain a security breach to federal investigators. She graduated magna cum laude in computer science from USC. The board thinks new blood is exactly what we need to modernize our cybersecurity approach for the global marketplace. New blood, right? What they needed was someone who understood that military defense networks aren't Instagram content you can figure out over a weekend with some online tutorials. These were 15 layers of encrypted protection keeping foreign hackers from accessing American military communications worldwide. Every protocol I'd built had been tested against actual attacks from hostile intelligence services, not theoretical scenarios from university textbooks. I'm swamped with the Pentagon review prep, I said, trying to give Shane an easy way out of this disaster before it started. Maybe someone from the training department could help her get oriented with the visitor protocols first. We've got that comprehensive security briefing process for new consultants. Shane's face went hard, and I recognized that expression from my Navy days. It was the look superior officers got right before they gave you an order they knew violated protocol, but expected you to follow anyway. This isn't a request, Garrett. It's a direct order. I'd been around long enough to recognize when someone was giving you an order they knew was wrong. The kind of order that gets classified information compromised because some executive cared more about family politics than protecting national security. In the Navy, we had a term for officers who prioritized personal relationships over mission security. We called them security risks. I can't do that, Shane. The words hung in the air like the moment before a system crashes, when you know everything's about to go dark but there's still time to prevent total disaster. Can't or won't. His voice dropped to that dangerous quiet that executives use right before they destroy your career. Won't. I kept my tone professional, but there was no backing down from this position. Those systems protect Pentagon communications, satellite defense networks, classified military intelligence. They monitor real-time threats from Beijing, Moscow, Tehran. It's not training material for social media consultants. Amanda looked confused, like she couldn't understand why anyone would object to giving her access to the same systems that protected American military operations around the globe. But Uncle Shane, I thought cybersecurity was just about, keeping hackers out of websites and stuff. How hard could it be? That sentence right there told me everything I needed to know about her qualifications for accessing classified defense systems. She thought cybersecurity was about protecting shopping websites, not preventing foreign intelligence services from intercepting drone communications or submarine patrol routes. Amanda, I said, turning to face her directly. The systems we protect here handle communications for special operations, nuclear submarine fleets, and satellite networks that coordinate everything from missile defense to troop movements. One mistake could compromise operations that keep American soldiers alive. She blinked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Oh, well, I'm sure I could figure it out. I mean, I've got almost 1 million followers who trust my tech content. Shane's hand moved to his desk phone, and I knew what was coming next. After 12 years of working for the man, I could read his body language like system diagnostics. Send security up here, he said into the phone, his voice carrying that cold authority he reserved for firing employees who wouldn't bend to his will. Then he looked at me with the kind of stare that could freeze network traffic. Garrett Wells, your refusal to follow direct orders and adapt to our evolving business model shows you're no longer aligned with company objectives. You're terminated, effective immediately. The words hit like a system shutdown, but I'd been preparing for this exact scenario for years. Ever since Diana got sick and the medical bills nearly wiped us out despite our military insurance, I'd been building contingency plans. That's what 20 years in the Navy teaches you. Always have backup systems ready when the primary ones fail. Security will escort you out, Shane continued, already reaching for paperwork that would make my termination official. You have 15 minutes to pack your personal belongings. No company property leaves this building. Amanda was still recording with her phone, capturing every second of my professional execution like it was content for her social media empire. This is so dramatic, she whispered to her camera. Like workplace conflicts are totally relatable content. My followers are going to love this behind-the-scenes stuff. I stood up slowly, adjusting my security badge out of habit, a nervous tic I'd developed over years of working with classified systems. The small plastic rectangle felt heavier than usual, like it carried the weight of 12 years protecting American cyber infrastructure. You know what, Shane? I said, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. You're right about one thing, we're definitely not aligned anymore. Within minutes, Carlos Rivera and Travis Murphy appeared at Shane's office door. Both were good guys who'd worked defense contracts long enough to know this whole situation violated every security protocol in the book. Carlos had served with Army intelligence in Iraq, understood what happened when operational security got compromised by political decisions. Travis was former Air Force, had seen firsthand how corporate cost-cutting could endanger American personnel overseas. Let's go, Garrett, Carlos said quietly, his tone apologetic. In all my years at CyberGuard, I'd never been escorted anywhere by security. These were guys I'd grabbed beers with after particularly stressful Pentagon briefings, men who understood that our work meant more than just paychecks and performance reviews. As we walked toward the elevator, I could see other employees watching from their cubicles and offices. Word travels fast in a defense contractor environment, especially when it involves the senior cybersecurity architect getting terminated during active Pentagon contract negotiations. They're selling us out, boys, I said quietly as the elevator doors closed, making sure my voice didn't carry to any recording devices Amanda might still have running. Shane's got meetings scheduled with Beijing Cyber Solutions next week, wants to outsource our threat monitoring to whoever writes the biggest check. Carlos's jaw tightened visibly. He'd spent 3 tours in Iraq, dealing with the aftermath of intelligence failures, understood exactly what happened when foreign entities got access to American military communications. Travis shook his head, muttering something about corporate traitors under his breath. His father had been a Cold War veteran who'd spent decades keeping Soviet intelligence out of American defense systems. Jesus, Garrett, Carlos said, as we reached the 8th floor. You're talking about giving foreign hackers direct access to our military networks. That's not just corporate stupidity, that's treason. That's exactly what I'm talking about, I replied. Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. By Monday, every defense protocol we've built over the past decade will be managed by people who've never been cleared by American intelligence agencies. My office looked exactly the same as it had 4 hours earlier, when I'd been a respected senior cybersecurity architect, instead of an escorted security risk. Pictures of Ryan in his Army dress uniform lined my desk, along with photos of Jake and Tommy at their school science fair. There was my Pentagon consulting team photo from our successful defense against the 2019 Iranian cyber offensive. The original Eagle Shield development crew working around the clock in that secured facility outside Washington. And there was my coffee mug that Tommy had given me last Christmas. World's best cyber grandpa. 15 minutes to pack up 12 years of protecting American digital infrastructure. The irony wasn't lost on me that I was being timed like some kind of security threat when I'd spent over a decade preventing actual security threats from compromising our nation's most sensitive communications. I grabbed the personal stuff first. Photos, the mug, that small American flag pin Diana had given me when I first got my top secret clearance. But what I really needed was already secured in my jacket pocket. A military-grade encrypted thumb drive that looked like any other storage device, but contained something Shane had never bothered to investigate. That drive held the original system architectures, the licensing agreements I'd carefully negotiated through my attorney years ago, and most importantly, the master kill switch protocols for Eagle Shield's emergency lockdown systems. Level Alpha clearance, the kind of safeguard you hope you never have to use, but always keep ready for situations exactly like this. I called it my insurance policy, built into the system from day one when I'd learned that relying on corporate goodwill for financial security was like trusting national defense to social media influencers. You need backup systems, redundant protocols, and emergency measures that can't be overridden by people who don't understand the stakes. Don't take any company property, Amanda announced from my doorway, still recording with her phone like this, was all some reality show episode for her followers. Uncle Shane said, "You tech guys always try to steal stuff when you get fired. You tech guys?" I turned to look at her, this 24-year-old influencer who thought cybersecurity was about protecting shopping websites. She had no idea she was talking to someone who'd spent years keeping foreign intelligence services from intercepting American military communications. "Everything I need is right here," I said, patting my jacket pocket where the encrypted drive sat next to my truck keys and military ID. The walk to the elevator felt like a funeral march. Carlos and Travis flanked me like honor guards, both men looking like they'd rather be anywhere else than escorting a 20-year veteran out of his own workplace. As the elevator descended, I could feel the weight of what was coming next. In the elevator, I pulled out my phone and sent a carefully worded encrypted message to Lance Cooper, my lead systems engineer. "Network integrity potentially compromised. Recommend immediate review of all firewall protocols and access logs." Lance texted back within 30 seconds, "Roger that. What's your status?" "Employment status changed unexpectedly. Monitor for unusual access patterns over the next few hours." By the time we reached the parking garage, my phone was buzzing with responses from the core team. These were guys who'd served alongside me in various capacities for years, former military personnel who understood that some battles require strategic retreats before you can mount effective counterattacks. My Silverado had never felt more like a mobile command center. I fired up my laptop right there in the CyberGuard parking garage and established a secure connection to Eagle Shield's administrative interface, not through the company network, but through the encrypted back channels I'd built into the defense systems from day one. The screen came to life with a familiar message. "Welcome, Chief Security Architect, all systems nominal level alpha protocols armed and ready." Level alpha. While Shane and his board had been celebrating quarterly profit increases and planning their Beijing partnership, I'd been quietly building something they didn't even know existed. An emergency lockdown protocol wired directly into every critical defense system, designed to activate automatically if the chief security architect's employment status changed to terminated without proper Department of Defense clearance transfer procedures. The logic was elegant and completely legal. If national security protocols were being violated through improper personnel changes, the system would engage protective measures to prevent potential compromise of classified communications networks. It wasn't sabotage, it was exactly the kind of failsafe the Pentagon expected us to have in place. I checked the system status one more time. Shane's big Pentagon demonstration was scheduled for 11:30 a.m. sharp, just 2 hours and 15 minutes from now. He'd have a conference room full of Defense Department officials watching him show off cybersecurity technology he thought belonged to his company. Time to teach him the difference between licensing technology and actually owning it. Before I activated anything, I needed to make one important phone call. Ryan picked up on the second ring despite the 6-hour time difference in Germany. "Hey, Dad, shouldn't you be in some classified meeting right now?" "Actually, son, I need to tell you something important. My employment situation at CyberGuard just changed unexpectedly." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Ryan had inherited his mother's ability to read between the lines, plus 8 years of Army intelligence training that made him particularly good at detecting when situations weren't what they appeared to be. "Did something happen? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Ryan. There was a disagreement about security protocols, specifically about giving uncleared personnel access to classified defense systems. I couldn't compromise on that, so my employment got terminated." "Jesus, Dad, they fired you for refusing to violate security clearance requirements?" "That's exactly what happened. But I want you to know that everything's going to work out fine, better than fine, actually. The boys' college funds are completely secure, and I think we're about to have a lot more time for those video calls you keep promising." Ryan's laugh carried relief and pride in equal measure. "Are you telling me you had contingency plans for something like this?" "Son, I spent 20 years in the Navy and 12 years in defense contracting. Of course I had contingency plans. The boys are going to want to hear this story. They've been working on a new robotics project they want to show you. Something about autonomous network security monitoring." I smiled, thinking about my grandsons building the next generation of cybersecurity tools while their grandfather dealt with corporate executives who didn't understand the first thing about protecting American communications. I can't wait to see what they've built, but right now, I've got some final business to take care of. Stay safe, Dad, and let me know if you need anything from this end. "I will, son. Love you. Love you too, Dad." I hung up and immediately activated the Level Alpha protocol with a single encrypted command. Eagle Shield began its countdown sequence, 2 hours, 14 minutes, 37 seconds, and ticking down steadily toward Shane's demonstration. The countdown wasn't just dramatic timing, it was giving everyone in the building adequate notice to safely log off classified systems and prepare for emergency security protocols. I wasn't trying to cause actual operational damage, just demonstrate what real cybersecurity looked like when properly managed by people who understood the stakes. At exactly 11:30 a.m., the CyberGuard conference room had been transformed into what looked like a federal command center. 3 massive screens displayed Eagle Shield's interface while company engineers stood ready at monitoring stations. The Pentagon evaluation team sat around the polished mahogany table, minus 6 Defense Department officials, 4 NSA cybersecurity experts, and enough combined security clearance to shut down defense contractors across the entire eastern seaboard. Shane stood at the head of the table, confident as a gambler holding 4 aces. His expensive suit was freshly pressed, his PowerPoint presentation loaded and ready. Amanda sat beside him with her tablet, somehow still managing to live-stream portions of the meeting to her followers despite being in a classified facility. Her captions read, "Taking cybersecurity to the next level in defense industry girl boss moment." "Ladies and gentlemen," Shane began, his presentation voice echoing off the conference room walls with practiced authority. "What you're about to see isn't just network security software. It's the future of American cyber defense, streamlined for efficiency and adapted for the global marketplace." He gestured toward Kevin Palmer, the demonstration engineer, some kid fresh out of Georgia Tech who'd been hired 3 months ago to replace Lance Cooper after I'd recommended Lance for a well-deserved promotion that Shane had rejected for budget reasons. Kevin had impressive credentials on paper, but had never dealt with real-time cyber attacks from hostile foreign intelligence services. "Mr. Pierce," interrupted Inspector Michelle Santos, the lead Pentagon cybersecurity official. Her voice carried the authority of someone who'd spent 15 years investigating security breaches and contractor failures. "Before we begin, I need to address some concerns that have come to our attention. We've received intelligence reports about potential foreign consulting arrangements that could compromise classified defense protocols." Shane's confidence flickered for just a moment, barely noticeable unless you'd spent 12 years watching him navigate difficult conversations with federal officials. "Inspector Santos, I'm not sure what reports you're referring to, but I can absolutely assure you that CyberGuard maintains the highest security standards in the industry. We're completely committed to American cybersecurity priorities. We'll evaluate that claim based on today's demonstration," she said, making notes on her secured tablet. "Please proceed." Kevin Palmer started typing commands into the primary interface terminal, and the screens flickered to life with Eagle Shield's initialization sequence. The system graphics looked impressive, cascading data streams, real-time threat maps, network topology displays that would make any Pentagon official feel confident about their cybersecurity investments. Everything looked perfect for exactly 47 seconds. Then the first warning appeared in bold red letters across all 3 screens. "Primary security architect authentication required." Kevin frowned, his fingers moving faster across the keyboard as he tried to resolve what he assumed was a minor technical glitch. "Just a temporary authentication issue, sir. Let me reset the connection protocols." He typed several override commands, but instead of clearing the warning, a new message appeared: "Access denied. Employment verification failed. Security protocol violation detected." "What's the problem, Kevin?" Shane's voice carried that dangerous edge that executives develop when their carefully orchestrated presentations start falling apart in front of the people who sign their paychecks. "I'm not sure, sir. The system is requesting architect-level credentials that don't appear to exist in our current user database. It's like the primary administrator account has been deactivated." Inspector Santos leaned forward, her expression shifting from professional skepticism to active concern. "Mr. Pierce, are you experiencing technical difficulties with your core defense systems during a federal evaluation?" "Just a minor software glitch that will be resolved within minutes," Shane said, but sweat was starting to bead on his forehead despite the conference room's air conditioning running at full capacity. The screens flashed yellow, then bright red. A much larger message appeared, accompanied by warning tones that sounded like submarine alert klaxons. "Emergency security lockdown initiated. Multiple foreign access attempts detected. Time remaining, 0 hours 23 minutes, 51 seconds. Contact system administrator for immediate resolution." The Pentagon evaluation team exchanged those looks that federal investigators perfect over decades of dealing with defense contractors who overpromise and underdeliver on national security commitments. Inspector Santos stood up slowly, her movement carrying the weight of someone who'd just witnessed a complete cybersecurity failure during the most important demonstration of the fiscal year. Mr. Pierce, your core defense system is reporting multiple foreign access attempts during a federal compliance evaluation. This is precisely the kind of security vulnerability our intelligence agencies warned us about. Shane turned to Kevin Palmer with barely controlled panic. Fix this immediately. Override the lockdown. Use administrative privileges, emergency protocols, whatever it takes. Kevin's hands flew across his keyboard, sweat pouring down his face like he was trying to prevent an actual cyber attack instead of a software demonstration. Sir, I can't access any core security systems. There's something here about level alpha protocols, but I've never encountered that classification level before. Level alpha. Shane's voice cracked slightly. What the hell is level alpha? Nobody in that room could answer his question except the federal investigators who were now documenting every word for their comprehensive security report. The countdown continued relentlessly, 0 hours, 18 minutes, 29 seconds. Every second that passed was another nail in Shane's corporate coffin, every failed override attempt another piece of evidence that CyberGuard couldn't manage its own cybersecurity systems during the most basic federal evaluation. Get Garrett Wells on the phone immediately. Shane barked at his assistant, desperation finally overtaking his executive composure. Sir, Mr. Wells was terminated this morning per your direct orders. Security escorted him from the building at approximately 9:30 a.m. I don't care if he was terminated. Contact him now, offer him whatever it takes, full reinstatement, equity partnership, complete operational authority. The call went straight to my voicemail, the professional recording I'd prepared specifically for this moment. You've reached Garrett Wells. I'm currently unavailable, but if this is regarding Eagle Shield security protocols, please consult your existing licensing agreements with Wells Security Solutions and applicable federal cybersecurity regulations. For emergency technical support, contact my authorized representative. Thanks for calling. And remember, security first. Inspector Santos gathered her materials with the deliberate precision of someone who just documented a complete contractor failure. Mr. Pierce, it appears you have fundamental operational issues that require immediate federal investigation. Your core defense system is completely inaccessible during a compliance evaluation. You're reporting cybersecurity breaches from multiple hostile foreign nations, and apparently the only person capable of resolving this crisis is an employee you terminated 4 hours ago. Please, Inspector, this is just a temporary technical malfunction. We can resolve this situation within the hour if you'll give us time to contact our technical staff. Temporary. Inspector Santos's voice could have frozen network traffic. Your defense system is in complete emergency lockdown, reporting active security threats from Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran during a demonstration of technology you claim to control. This isn't a technical malfunction, Mr. Pierce. This is a national security incident requiring immediate federal oversight. She moved toward the door, her evaluation team following in formation like a well-disciplined military unit retreating from a compromised position. We'll be initiating a comprehensive security investigation within 24 hours. Until that review is complete, this facility operates under federal cybersecurity supervision. No demonstrations, no foreign consultations, no operational changes without explicit DUDA authorization. When the countdown finally reached 0, all 3 screens went completely dark. Then, after 15 seconds of total silence, a single message appeared in bright white letters against the black background. Eagle Shield security systems in protective lockdown mode. All classified access revoked pending federal security review. For licensing inquiries and technical support, contact Wells Security Solutions LLC. Authorized representative, Carmen Wells. In the span of 4 hours, Shane Pierce had lost everything that mattered. The Pentagon contract worth $800 million was terminated pending investigation. CyberGuard's stock price dropped 67% as news of the failed federal demonstration spread through defense industry networks. And Eagle Shield, the advanced cybersecurity technology that justified the company's entire existence, was locked behind digital barriers that only I controlled. My phone exploded with missed calls from CyberGuard's legal team, board members, and federal investigators. But the call I'd been waiting for came at 3:15 p.m. Wells, this is Rachel Foster from Titan Defense Solutions. I believe we need to discuss a potential partnership opportunity. That afternoon, I found myself in the executive offices of Titan Defense Solutions, sitting across from Rachel Foster, the kind of woman who'd been making billion-dollar defense deals since before the internet existed. She'd spent 25 years navigating Pentagon contracts and understood exactly what had just happened at CyberGuard. "Wells," she said, studying me over her coffee cup, "I've had a very interesting day. The Pentagon called me personally after your former employer's demonstration. In all my years of defense consulting, they said they'd never witnessed such a spectacular system failure combined with evidence of foreign infiltration attempts." She smiled with the sharpness of a firewall rule. CyberGuard disappointed them. No, Shane Pierce disappointed them. CyberGuard is just office space and servers now. What the federal government is interested in is Eagle Shield technology. And Eagle Shield, our legal team discovered this afternoon, was never really CyberGuard's to license in the first place. 2 hours later, the framework was complete. Wells Security Solutions would become the primary contractor for federal cyber defense systems. Titan Defense would provide the infrastructure and government connections. CyberGuard would wake up tomorrow to discover their company was worth about as much as a laptop with a broken hard drive. The news broke at 6:30 p.m. CyberGuard loses core defense technology and employment dispute. Pentagon contract terminated after foreign security breach. Former Navy officer controls billion-dollar cyber platform. That evening, I video called Ryan in Germany. Both boys crowded into the screen, their faces bright with excitement. "Grandpa?" Jake shouted. "Dad said you had a big adventure today." "I did, boys. This morning, I was working for someone who didn't value American security. Tonight, I work for myself, building something that actually matters for your generation." "Is that good for us, Grandpa?" Tommy asked. "Yeah, kiddo. That's very good for our family." The next morning, I stood in the conference room of Wells Security Solutions, looking out at defense reporters and federal officials. At exactly 11:47 a.m., the same time Shane's demo had collapsed 24 hours earlier, I signed the incorporation documents that made my consulting firm the exclusive provider of advanced cyber defense systems to the federal government. Because sometimes in America, the best revenge isn't getting even. It's building something better and showing everyone what real cybersecurity looks like when national security comes first. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do to a corporation is exactly what they hired you to do: build something so critical they can't survive without it. Then remind them who actually built it.